Students, hi, Catherine Robertson here. So, ENT students, how are you today? This week, I don't know why it's so dark. Um, this week, we are going to be looking at, it's actually 2 weeks. So, weeks 4 and 5 are actually a 2-week section. So, there are 2 chapters and a discussion post for this week. It's this discussion number 2, and it's a 2-part discussion. There is homework this week as well, actually 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks. This actually isn't due until, I believe it's October 22nd. I'm going to write that in with the weeks. Due by 10/22. Okay. So in the weeks, it does say due by 10/22. So that you know that is that Sunday. So it's 2 weeks out. This is a 2-week section for weeks 4 and 5, and everything's due at the end of week 5. So if you have questions, remember this is a 2-week section again. Okay, so we are going to be doing chapters 6 and 7 this week, and there are 2 video links. So the first video link, chapter 6 is about needs recognition and problem solving, right? Finding what is a need in your community. And how can you be a problem solver as an entrepreneur and coming up with ideas that are problem solving ideas for your community, right? And maybe the country at large if your idea were to expand. And so the video, what's the best way to find a business idea? I would suggest watching that short video first. So the video link is listed. Everything's kind of chronological as to how you should kind of view it. So I would say read through chapter 6 in the text, and then look at what is the best way to find a business idea. And then you're going to click into the chapter 6 PowerPoint to do a quick review of the chapter. And so this chapter has 4 sections: problem solving to find entrepreneurial solutions, creative problem solving process, the creative problem solving process, design thinking, and lean processes. And so this chapter kind of goes into how do we find how do we become problem solvers as entrepreneurs, and then take those problems, and by solving them, that is not our entrepreneurial idea. So there's some steps in 6.1 to find the problem solving, and you're going to look at some different models, and then you're going to learn about how to identify some of the skills that you might need for effective problem solving, and then the chapter also talks about different types of problem solvers. And so there's a few examples of individuals that were problem solvers. There's also looking at some of the skills that entrepreneurs, which all of you have, you just have to hone these skills, right? Entrepreneurial problem solving skills, resourcefulness, to name a few, right? This is if you look at figure 6.3, critical thinking, how to evaluate details, communication, all the skills that I know that you all possess. Ability to act on solutions, right? So just because you come up with a solution, how do you then operationalize it and act upon it? Decisiveness, making decisions, right? Let's do decision B versus decision C and D, things like that. Ability to analyze data, and to learn about business, your business industry, right? Having industry awareness really helps you if you are thinking about problem solving. Making connections and networking is so key as well. Let's see, what other components of chapter 6? So a couple things to think about when you're thinking about the creative problem solving steps, right? So you can take really anything, and once you brainstorm to come up with a few ideas, right, you can think about the steps then to how you might this process of creativity, right? And one of the things that this textbook and this course talk about are taking the unknown of entrepreneurial thinking and entrepreneurial avenues and taking them into a step-by-step process, right? So that if you have some ideas, but you're not sure how to hone those ideas, a lot of the information in this text really goes into how you might do that in a practical manner. So if you are looking at the chapter 6 PowerPoint, figure 6.9, step 1, clarify what the problem is. Then in step 2, ideate. Come up with different ideas as to how you might solve the problem, right? First, you clarify the problem. Ideate means, come up with ideas, operationalize the idea process, right? Come up with some ideas that might help solve the problem. and then kind of figure out which one might be the best. Then develop the that idea that will solve the problem, and then implement that, right? And see how it's working. Implement your idea. This is kind of your prototype, and then evaluate how it actually does solve the problem. So a few examples then of how that might be done. So if you're reviewing chapter 6, again, chapter 7 will be a separate video, but you can at least get started on chapter 6 for this week. I will post a chapter 7 video shortly. So if you're watching this, you're thinking, where's chapter 7 when this is over? But I will post it a little bit later. So looking through a few of the 6.3. So the third component of this chapter starts to talk about design thinking, right? And the design thinking process and some of the design thinking tools. So the other thing, as you're reading through these chapters and reviewing things, make sure that you're thinking about some of the processes, models, and key components of tools, right? You really want to come up with this arsenal of tools, a whole tool shed of things you can do on your entrepreneurial journey. And so you just pull from those tools, right? Once you come up with an idea, you can then an idea that will solve a problem or fill a need, then you can use those tools to move forward toward a solution and then toward a product or service. Some of the things that you might want to answer, right? Who, what, where, when, how, and why. Figuring out who your marketplace might be when we're thinking about problem solving, right? And last in this section, the fourth section, is the lean processes. And this really talks about the lean problem-solving process, right? And that's an 8-step process that we see in the example is the Toyota lean process. The Toyota actually came up with this lean process method, right? And it's used actually across the board. There's lean processes that are used by companies, right, within the company. So not just for entrepreneurs. And so in the Toyota lean problem-solving process, what we see is clarify the problem, step 1. And this is in, if you're referring to chapter 6, this is in, let me get you the figure so you can look through it and know which figures to highlight. I do not have the figure, but it is part of 6.4 in your text. So when you get to 6.4, one of the first things, table 6.1. So this is the first table, not figure, from your text in chapter 6. Step 1, clarify the problem. Step 2, analyze the problem. And step 3, set some targets, right? Some goals. Step 4, identify root causes, asking why repeatedly, right? To come up with some root causes of a problem or a need. Why has this need not been filled? Right? Let's find some causes, some reasons why, right? Might not be cost effective. Step 5, develop some countermeasures by asking what is the specific change we want to make and involving others in the problem-solving process. So this problem-solving process is what we can use as entrepreneurs to come up with ideas for things in our community to start small that might be problems that we could solve through an entrepreneurial idea. Let's see, step 6, implement the countermeasures and see them through, right? Countermeasures meaning solutions, countermeasures to a problem, right? So countering a problem is a solution. Step 7, monitor what happens. Is the solution matching the problem? Is it solving the problem? Or is it not solving the problem? Sometimes that happens, right? And step 8, standardize the processes that succeed. So whatever you come up with is your problem-solving solution or plural solutions. That's when you have to figure out, okay, how can this be, whether it's a service or a product, how then do we market this, right? How do we standardize it? And so that's really the lean problem-solving process. And so go through chapter 6 when you are done. Oh, for this, before I move past the end of this video, and I'll talk about it in chapter 7, kind of goes into the mission, creating a mission and a vision. There's a quick video link for that. I will do chapter 7 in a separate video. Let me discuss the discussion really quickly here. So the discussion for weeks 4 and 5, you can apply your interest in entrepreneurship, right? This is a 2-part by speaking with local entrepreneurs. For this discussion, please contact. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to use someone local. You can contact someone via phone, email, Zoom, or in person who's an entrepreneur, who you believe is an entrepreneur. So you can talk, could be a family member, could be a friend, could have been a business person you met, could have been someone from your hometown. It's not Erie. Whatever it might be, someone that you could contact. Doesn't have to be perfect, and they don't have to be defined specifically as an entrepreneur. So a business owner of sorts, right? And you're going to contact them again via phone, email, Zoom, in person, whatever method you use, so that you can get a little information from them. Get as much as you can, right? Here's some possible topics. So some students are able to get all this information and use it almost as an interview, right? And they can go through steps or letters A through I and answer all these questions. You can do that if you'd like, right? Go through this as a short interview, or send some of these questions out, send all of these questions out via email to someone you have interest in interviewing, and get as much information as you can. And then you're going to be you can either write it as the letters, right? Like letter A, the entrepreneur's name and company name, right? You can either write A and then write those things out, or you can write up like a paragraph, kind of encompassing as many points A through I that you can. And this is a two-part discussion. So remember that. The first part, you're going to answer these questions, right? So that is this. I will post the second part as well, maybe later, maybe into week 5, like next week, so you can start to see. I could post it now. This wasn't due for a few more weeks, though, the second part of the discussion. So I just want you to worry about, this first part, because the second part of the discussion, and I have it actually in here, discussion 3, right, which is the second part of this, will be responding to what other classmates found. So your exam, you will have to respond to 2 other classmates. So that will be the third discussion. So everyone needs to post in the next 2 weeks a thorough response to this discussion, and then we'll use that discussion to do our third discussion, which is tied in looking at other people's findings, right? So you're going to be posting this to the class. If you don't want to reveal the entrepreneur's name, make sure you ask. And company name, that's okay. You could say just the industry, right? Maybe some background information if you want it to be confidential. However, if you talk to most entrepreneurs, they are happy to say their name and tell their story, right? And so letters A through I, A, the entrepreneur name and company name, B, the background of the not only the entrepreneur, but of the idea, the business, right? And then C, how did you find, tell us how you found the person and why you chose him or her. And then maybe in your own words, explain why you think this person should be considered an entrepreneur and not just a business person or, a management level person. E, see if you can find out from the entrepreneur, try to identify why they pursued that opportunity. Could the entrepreneur, what influenced them really? You know what I mean? To go in the route they went and to pursue the opportunity that they pursued. How did the background of the entrepreneur, family history, there's a few things there. How did that affect what they found, right? When they found an idea, like what influenced them to find that idea? Do they think, right? So in their words. And what did the entrepreneur do to turn the opportunity into a business? So it's really in line with chapter 6 and 7. What major problems did the entrepreneur encounter along the way? This is an amazing one, right? They're going to tell you all sorts of stuff that they had to overcome. And then maybe either, see if you can get out of them why they feel they're successful. What were the things, some of the key points that made them successful? Or maybe some of the things that you reflect upon talking with them or in your experience with their company, what made them successful. All right. Have a great afternoon, and I will talk to you later.